Very good to see you all. Hello, everybody. If I look a little bit jaded, that's because I feel a little bit like that, you know. So, yeah, yeah, Las Vegas style for last few days, so yeah, this is a real after party. Let me tell you that it's a real after party we're having here. Um, so I really had to, organize this. I can't, tell you guys like what an interesting NAB it was. In any case, those of you who came and came to watch ColorLab, there was like a moment of disbelief sometimes, and I'm actually glad that this was the reaction. And this is what I'm going to share with you today. I'm pretty sure you all wonder, so when can we actually get access to it? When can we start playing with it? So yes, we are opening the private beta list first. So what you need to do is you need to go to a website that says number4.colorlab.ai. So it's number4.colorlab.ai. And there you can register to get onto our private beta. So why actually this NAB was incredibly valuable for us is because we were able to demo to our existing users and future users and show them the functionality and get some really good feedback. So we are actually going to make some changes before we go into private beta. So probably it's going to take us maybe another week, before all of those changes are implemented, because they're all incredibly valuable changes and they're great. So we're kind of % aware of it. And I think this is really why I love, this kind of private beta way of doing things, because at the end of the day, we're building this software for you, so if you can't do things that you need to do, and if you feel like, okay, there is a better way of doing, and you have some things that you think like you would like to have and you don't have, it's important for us to know. It's been always like this, and I feel like that this is really like the biggest differentiator between like ColorLab and other software applications out there, that we are small enough that we can actually listen to just a bunch of users and be able to adjust to it. There is not a consortium behind it, that needs to decide what feature, what pipeline, what's this and that, like, hey, it's like one great suggestion and feature is already scheduled to be built in. So yeah, this is really, I think, the most important part of software development process is this one that we're doing now. I imagine that this is probably going to go for about 30 days. I think this is, probably where we're going to be able to do to be in a very stable condition, and then we're going to go public. So right now, ColorLab AI works only on Silicon Macs. So no Windows and no Intel Macs. Now, I know for you Intel guys, could be a problem, but it's not me. Honestly, Apple thinks you should buy a new computer. And it's not bad. We run ColorLab on the cheapest iMac Mini. So this is our main test machine, $599, and it performs incredibly well on that machine. So maybe I'm going to buy also that Neo, the new MacBook, whatever, and see what it runs on that, but basically this is not, a system that you need super crazy hardware. We are really optimizing it heavily. And then once we got, public beta completed and we are in a release, this is where we're going to go and make a Windows version. It's possible. It's totally doable. We're going to do it. It's just that it's impossible to do these two releases at the same time at this stage when we're changing everything, literally. So you just really understand, a little bit how that works. I am going to, go straight away by showing you a little bit how it works. I know that majority of you are already ColorLab users, so I'll do a little bit more detailed explanation. So this is not like like if you're first time here, Sorry, I'm going to go a little bit into detail and explain what differences are between version 3 and version 4 a little more. But I think also I'm going to leave enough time at the end for us to be able to talk and discuss everything and for you to ask questions, because I really want to hear what your thoughts are and how what you think, what we should do and what we shouldn't do and so on. So yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to go and click onto my share screen. Excellent. All right, so let's do it. So the first thing you guys are going to notice is that now we have like a user projects, right? So this is not anymore like you see with the application opens and you just write. So no, we have a user system and we have projects. And the reason why we do this is because we have to run everything on the timeline, sorry, on the database. And that's, you know, super important because that's how we're getting some of the speed. And you'll see like what I'm talking about. So I think the kind of for 3.5 users, the major differentiator is going to be color matching, okay? So the color matching in version 4 has undergone completely new, well, you know, it's not new. Look, we've been building this since 2018. You have to understand, this is not kind of, we didn't say, oh, let's make a color match, right? We've been doing it. And you know, every release was a little bit better. Every release was a little bit better. And one thing that happened as well is that, as you probably heard, you know, we're, you know, signed a partnership agreement with Honor, and now Ari's coming into it as well. And we had to make our neural network run on a mobile phone. And it was an incredible task to do it. And yes, there is now going to be ColorLab AI for mobile as well that you're going to get together with your ColorLab AI desktop. I'm not going to be able to show it to you now. I don't have time to go into detail for that. We're going to schedule another call just to talk about mobile. But in order for us to make this happen, what we had to do is we had to go and change our neural network for matching so that it can fit on a mobile phone. So how do you do that? So instead of like having like a one large network that does matching effectively, what we had to do is we had to split it into smaller parts. And then, you know, you kind of do step-by-step process. And that was incredibly valuable, because what that allowed us then is allowed us to really fine-tune every process. So like we would say, oh, let's check the exposure. Okay, exposure. Oh, but maybe output exposure can be fine-tuned. So we were really able to go step by step, you know, into it. So the first thing then we had to do is we had to stop working with CDLs. CDLs are absolutely amazing. You're going to have a CDLs in application. You're going to have it, but the main match need now effectively something that we're going to be able to translate into a lot. So it works with a much higher precision. Okay, now let me just show you. I'm just going to basically, so look, these are my references here on this window, and I'm just going to press A, okay? Yes, this is actually slowed down match. So our matching now operates at 30 milliseconds, and we slow it on the UI so that it looks a little bit nicer. So we make a fade in of 200 milliseconds just so that you basically get, so look, so I'm just going to show you, look, this is just like, you know, the quality of matching, right? I'm just going to kind of click a little bit through, so just to show you like how easy it is now to, you know, figure out what's the look that you want to use. Is there anything, you know, like maybe that you like, you get me? And so you know, you can, this may be the one, you know, you get me, like you can just quickly just go through it. Then what we also simplified now here is we have simplified the fine-tuning, because originally you had a CDL UI and then you were able to do it, and you're going to still have that CDL, we're going to call it fine-tune. But here, what you can do is we separated it now, and really we're like opening a little bit our neural network to you guys to understand how neural network works, because what it does matching on actually 4 levels. The 4th level is just not visible here. The 4th level is contrast, but the 1st level is luminance. So you see, I can then just decide how much of this is my original, and this is my 100% luminance match. So you can just fine tune and say how much luminance you want. However, neural network decides it's for you. And I'm going to show you something that we did, which is why it's so precise. Then we have a chrominance match. So this is just a basically, like the color aspect of match, right? And then we have a saturation match, and this is perceptual saturation. This is not like a kind of standard saturation. So, and again, this is just a match. And then here you have ability to go and say, oh, the globally, how you want things to match, right? So what's really amazing now is that kind of this whole matching, first of all, it's incredibly accurate. But the second, it's incredibly fast. So you remember, I mean, I remember us announcing version 3.5 is now 20 times faster. This one is 100 times faster because, we went from 3 seconds to 33 milliseconds. It's incredible, okay? I'm going to show you a little bit the background, why it's also so matching and why it's so precise so that you really understand. Like in my last Lovestream, I have explained the announcement of this PIA, Perceptual Image Analyzer. Okay, so let me explain to you. So these are my references, and I only loaded just a few. We tested it with 10,000 references, and it just performs incredibly fast. So for example, let's say I'm going to click on this image, and I'm going to right mouse click and say Show Detail. Okay, so this is really the information that gets given to us by PIA. Okay, and PIA is effectively the eyes of the neural network. You understand? The neural network is completely separate from the world, right? You think about it. And what we were giving neural network is an image. And we say, hey, here is the image, and neural network will analyze the content of the image, like in terms of the color and luminance content, but had very little other information to what's really happening inside. And we as colorists, right? Well, we look at an image and we can tell so much more, about this image that really helps us understand what we need to and how we need to grade, what needs to happen, and so on. Okay? So for example, the first and most important thing for color matching is the perceptual stop analysis, right? What we had with Ed-Lachman zones. And this is the first thing you're going to see here, right? So this is we can see like a per stop of exposure and relative dominant color inside. And this is incredibly valuable. It's actually really interesting as well to look at your images like this and to be able to say, hey, how are stops of exposure distributed? This has nothing to do with your display. This is pure scene referred stops that are distributed inside an image. The second level of analysis that we do is using an IPT color space. And this is something that many people have been asking me, what's the color space that you're using? Okay, fine, I'm kind of telling, I'm spilling the beans. It's called IPT. And you remember my DCTLs, like Farb, whatever, my little like German DCTLs and Helmholtz, Kohlrausch effect and all of these guys. Farbsättiker, that was the one. They really use IPT. And what's IPT? Well, IPT is actually mother of all, perceptual color spaces. It's the root of a color space that Dolby is using for their matching. They call it ICTP, CP, whatever, with lots of, what they did is they just change it for their use by putting a PQ curve inside. We're using the original IPT version. It's much better than LAB, perceptual color space, that many people will kind of tell you, what's a perceptual color space? They say LAB. No, this is really like the most powerful perceptual color analysis out there that separates image into an I channel and P and T channels. And what's really interesting, the PT channels are working very similar to our rods and cones, the way that they kind of, are, managing opposing colors, like, for example, blue and yellow and green and red, which is really like a very kind of close to human, physiology as well. And what we analyze here is the PT kind of element of it. And it's super important information for a neural network. Neural network doesn't, as I already said that, and now it doesn't work in RGB. We never worked in RGB. We always worked in more perceptual way. The next step we analyze with an image is the saturation. And there is 2 elements of saturation, or maybe 3 elements of saturation. Number one, it's called gamut volume. And this is probably the most surprising element that you ever find. And you will realize how desaturated the world is because you see even an image like this, look, that you look at it and go like, oh, this looks really saturated, right? Well, actually, the gamut volume is only 4%. What's gamut volume? Like we say 100% is the full Rec 709. It's not even like a wide color space. It's Rec 709. And this image occupies only 4% of that maximum volume. It's crazy. Actually, for me, there was like a most mind-blowing discovery. It was like, really that we are like working really with a very low volume in color. And but we have a peak saturation. So the peak saturation is actually super important because why we still see these images be very saturated is because there is a color that is peaking, that has a very high value. And this is, in this case, obviously green, and this green is sitting at 67%. So you see actually a saturation. Sometimes it's not about the volume of color, it's more about the peak color that actually gives us the perception of very high saturation. Again, really super interesting facts that, again, are super important as well for our color matching. And then we also calculate the temperature of an image, and this is not statistical, this is neural engine that's trained to do this, so it tells you like this. And even though this image will look at you and say, like, oh, this is very cold image, it's got a green inside. No, actually it's warm. It's warm. Why? Because the sky is pretty warm. So yeah, so it's not the warmest, but yeah, you see it shows you that. The next thing then we analyze is we analyze then the contrast, and we score contrast from 0 to 100. This one scores, for example, at 80%. And then we also analyze two very interesting factors. This is also something that took us a while to figure out. It's basically shadow compression and highlight compression. So what is that? So when we do on a display, we have to compress highlight and shadow to bring the dynamic range into the area we want. This is when you say, oh, my shadow's a little bit compressed, or my highlights got a roll off. This is where we actually add a statistical value to those, image processing elements. And then we can tell you, oh, how much roll off and how much compression in the shadow we do. Super important thing. And by the way, don't try to do this at home. This is patent pending technology. It's protected. So yeah, but in any case. Then the next thing we have is then we have a color palette. The color palette is telling us, okay, what's the really colors going on there in terms of the, and then also you see these bars, they're not all the same size because that's kind of giving us proportion. Everything, again, if you still remember the class with Charles Poynton, who basically explained in color is proportional. It thinks of proportional. So the same way we're working here, we're calculating the proportion of colors. Super important for color contrast, super important for other elements. And then comes this huge area here. I'm not going to be able to read this through to you what it is, but this is the deepest cinematographic analysis that's available here. You're probably not surprised that when you upload an image to like any of these large language models that they'll be able to tell you what it is. But where this one special is going to be able to tell you, things like, I don't know, what's the, serene, contemplative, hopeful mood, what's genre, what's the emotion that this look is transmitting, and so on and so on. So basically, there's tons of things that, you're able to read from here. I'm not going to now go too much into detail, but this part is extremely important for something I'm going to show you in a minute, okay? So this is really all the extra information that we are now giving to the match engine in addition to an actual image. So we don't just say, hey, this is an image, match this. No, this is an image with all these elements, and take into account all of that. Don't just kind of blindly match one thing to another. So those adjustments, how much luminance, how much contrast, how much saturation, is really driven by this statistics, okay? And then also the result ultimately is being analyzed by the engine as well, and so being also readjusted based on that. Now, another beautiful element of us having all of this in this machine is that I can, for example, click on any image and I can just say, hey, show me best match on similarity. And it's just going to sort all of the images based on content similarity, no color, nothing else, right? But at the same time, I can click on an image and I can say, hey, show me color similarity, because that's what we colorists want, right? Ah, this is your kind of color similarity, right? Or you could say, no, you know what? I'm not interested in color. Show me exposure similarity, right? So you can just go and it's going to show you exposure similarity, right? And also, maybe you just got an idea from my last week thing. I can just go and say, hey, show me all white shots, right? And I can just click on it and it's going to give you just only white shots. And then, you know, you could really be able to do it. And why do you have this search function to begin with? Is because I think now that matching process is less critical. I mean, it's kind of being done a little bit for you, right? What's the most important part of the process is the creative part, right? What look am I really going to create? That's the bottom line. I mean, that's why you got hired at the end of the day. Clients want you to give their production, you know, the best possible look. And you coming up with best possible look is really the most important part of the process, you know. And these references is what drives your look, what drives your creativity. So what you're doing is you're building your own database. Everything, you know, you can import images, you can do stuff, you know, we'll supply you with some, you know, our own, but, you know, you obviously want to have your own databases. And then what you could do is you can, for example, create here, give me a new bin. And I want to, for example, say, okay, I want to get this kind of white shot here. And then maybe, okay, let me see, like maybe I want to have this one just in case, right? And then I want to have close-ups just to kind of get a good, I have misspelled it, I think that's why. All right, never mind. I think then we can have let me see, maybe give me like a similarity on this one. And then I can say, okay, I want a single guy, maybe this shot, right? And then maybe this one as well. I love this color. Let me give me some cold colors as well. So best match on color. That's not too bad. Let me see. Maybe, you know, I can just grab this shot, right? So you just build yourself some sort of lookbooks, right? Very easy. You build your bins, okay? And then we start. That's the kind of the starting point. At least that's how we envisioned. It's like, okay, I'm going to start. I'm going to build myself a little scratch book of things that I like. And then I'm going to start moving. Then you go into clips. Your clips, by the way, that you import, why we call it clips, just so we separate this as a reference, clips is your media. And we call it clips because you're also going to be able to import the whole timeline, right? The whole one media file. And then we will recut this media file for you and call them then clips, right? So just to kind of, we have a little bit of a kind of terminology separation. These, by the way, files also have a full analysis like we've seen, right? They also do it, and they're just limited in terms of, they tell you this is a wide shot, exterior, and so on. So, you know, they just give you a little bit of that. So what you can do now is you can go to your timeline, right? And in your timeline, you can say, well, I don't want to view my timeline in the editorial way because that's not really how I want to see things. I want to, for example, view my timeline based on similarity. Right? So what you do is we have this new term, which is called anchor, set and anchor. So what's an anchor? Anchor is like a shot that becomes a central to your comparison in the database, right? So you say, hey, this is the shot, and you compare everything else to it. Like, you know, like for example, in Excel sheets, you can sort A to Z, Z to E. Now think about it. You know, you want to, when you're sorting things based on similarity or color, well, you need to have a starting point, right? You want to say, show me shots that are surrounded by this shot. And that's why it's called an anchor, right? So I can make any shots be an anchor. And when I do that, what's going to do is going to show me all the similar shots. It's going to say, okay, there's similar. Well, you know, possibly if I was maybe to show this one as an anchor, you'll see then it's going to say, well, this one is similar, this one is similar, this one is similar, right? It has like a really good way of doing that. And then you can just always go back to editorial and your timeline's back in a normal mode. You can also say, hey, show me only shots that have faces. You just click on that and it shows you only shots that have faces. Why? Well, because sometimes I want to just match things. I want to match faces, right? I'm not interested now in bothering with other things, right? So For example, now I can go into my bin here that I selected and I kind of and I have maybe a face. Now I want to show you another thing. This shot clearly is a log shot, and I didn't apply deliberately an IDT. Yes, you can apply an IDT to it. If you go here into properties, you have option to select all the IDTs. We support everything, as you know. It's not an issue, but I didn't do it just for one reason. I want to just show you the new engine, how detailed it is when it comes to contrast matching. So look, I'm just going to press A. Boom. Log shot goes into perfect 709 because we have a separate neural network that only worries about the contrast. Okay, so let's say I have okay, now I have three completely different shots, right? So let's say this guy here, right, was this one. Now this guy here is completely different, but why don't I match it? Boom. Okay, now I have this shot here. It's completely different. You know, like it's cold and let me match it. Fine. So now, as you can see, like a matching is just less of a burden. You know, like it becomes quite easy to say, right, guys, to kind of do things. So I can just press play and let me see my timeline. Perfect. I kind of balanced completely three crazy shots to something that feels all right. It feels okay, fine. Right? And all I did was just said, give me only my faces. I want my faces to look like this. This is the reference for faces and so on, right? I can do that. By the way, I can do the same things for the skies. Give me only shots for the skies. Give me only shots with foliage. You want to make sure that your greens are all right. Or you could say, hey, give me only shots that are interior, and I don't have any, so that's a really bad example. But maybe give me only close-ups. Oh, it says no close-up, maybe mediums. Oh, there is two mediums. Oh, fantastic, right? So you get me, so you basically you have like a option to quickly go around. You will also be able to group it by yourself, but you see where we're going. You see where we're going. Now I want to take you a little bit to that kind of automation part. The main reason why we built this was to automate clicking around. Color grading is about click, 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 click. Another node, click, 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 right? So there's another node, click, click, and then we're going to do another node, click, so it's a lot of clicking, right? And also, like you remember, even the version 3, you always have to go, oh, my reference match, right? So how about if we remove this? If we say, look, instead of me like going and clicking forever around, how about I can just go and I can set references for certain type of shots, and you go and do the work for me, right? So this is this feature called auto-reference, right? So then what you do, auto-reference, you select the bin and you say, this bin is the bin where I build my reference for this timeline. So I, for example, now come to this shot and I say I'm on auto-reference and I say match. And it chose the wide shot of a desert because it's smart enough to say, hey, these two shots are very similar. This is probably what Dado wanted me to do it. Now, look, I'm using completely opposite shots, but what you can do, you can build your own looks, which is what I would like you to do. You would go through your timeline and you would grade your key scenes, key shots, and system's then going to be doing it for you. I'll show you that in a minute as well. Okay, the next shot, go like, hey, do me an auto match here as well. Boom. Okay, did again the same shot because why? It's a kind of wide, right? All right, let me do next one. Do me an auto match here. Oh, now it picked a hand for this because it went like, oh, maybe this is the one that I think it's the best for you. Here I have a face, right? What's going to do here? Oh, also picked up a hand. That's a bad example. I want you to stay here. I don't want the hand. So what you do now is you're going to override this one, right? Actually, I really like this one as well. Can I please override it? Now that I've changed this manually, system has taken a notice and has said, my auto-reference was bad. And the user just showed me the delta, we call it a delta, a difference to what I should be doing. Interesting. You see? So kind of now has a, and why are we doing all of this? Why are we doing all of this? Well, this is the reason why. Okay? Let me just actually reset all of these grades. So just to show you why we're doing this. Why we're remembering your decisions. Why we want to know all of that. Okay? So watch this, guys. Here, I have option as well to select the bin. This UI is going to change, by the way, a little bit, just to show you a function. And I can say match all. Now watch this. Watch the speed of matching. Watch this now. Done. Boom. 1 hour timeline in 8 seconds. This is the speed of matching. Okay? So what it did, it effectively chose for every shot, but it didn't remember, naughty, naughty, it didn't remember here this one that needs to be like this. So it picked the original ones. Okay. You see, it went and it just graded everything for you. So what you would do is you would then go basically open your timeline, set the key looks, leave everything empty. Maybe you could say like, you know what, this shot, here in particular, I'm very particular about every time I see BMW in the shot like this, can you please convert this to be this reference? We call it convert now, just to kind of, again, in terms of the vocabulary, have it similar, a little bit different, right? And then what's going to happen? Now your BMW shot graded becomes a new reference. So then the similarity is much stronger, and it's much stronger information for the AI engine. Anytime I have a BMW in a shot, this is the look I'm going to be using for that. Every time I have a person doing an interview, this is the look I'm going to be. Every time I have exterior, I'm going to do it like that. So basically, this is a kind of the way where AI is just a little bit doing work for you. You're like, okay, I don't have to go and sit everything, click, 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 click. I'm just going to go and say, hey, I set my key grades and just, click and forget. Then you go, obviously, and you got then to review things, You have enough time for that. Then you phone a client and say, man, this time is really difficult. And the real number 2 is really killing me, man. It's so hard, but I'm going to spend a little extra time on it. I think I'll be all right at the end. All right. Then what I do now, I want to show you this fun. This is the fun part at the moment. This is a kind of just giving you an idea to where it's going to be. We want to work now with, other smart people like us who want to kind of explore this, because this is just us opening this. So here we go. ColorLab AI version 4 is fully controllable by Claude Code. Never heard of it? It's Anthropic's model. It's this coding agent that's amazing for automation, and it's incredible. So what we will do is we will let you use your own Claude subscription, and you'll be able to go into connectors and say connect to ColorLab AI, and you'll be able to prompt your Claude Code to do grading for you. And I would imagine that there's going to be now a new kind of league of colorists who'll be able to go into businesses and write custom skills and be able to say, hey, what is it that you're grading? Oh, no problem. I'll write you a skill for Claude Code to be able to automate all of this work for you. But so far, we only want to give you an idea to what it's going to be like. So for example, I have here this scene, and I'm going to say, I would like a look that is for a car chase scene in LA. Should be high contrast and colder. Should we say colder? Yeah, cold. Good for high tension. Okay, boom, let's go. So now the Claude Code goes like, all right, let me see what I can do for you, blah, blah, blah. And it straight away presents you with some sort of, short list, but if you give it a moment, it gives you also a full description as well. And it says like, hey, this is my top recommendation. K. Admont 635. This is the one. And what you do then, you just click on it and you preview it straight away. You say, oh, this is probably nice, cold, high contrast. It's super right, yeah? Or 34, K. Admont 34. Oh, much better, Claude. This is my decision. Or I could go and say, always hold me close. Always hold me. Where is it? Always hold me. Always hold me close. This one. Ooh. got it, score, that's it. I got my look, right? So now you'll be able to tell to your skills like code and say, hey, this is the look I'm going to use for this. Let's find a look for this location, and then go and then say, you'll be able to literally have a skill where you're going to say, I've just built a timeline, with key looks, go and color grade this, and then in color grade, you'll be able to say, scene number 5 is a little bit too saturated. Can we please desaturate it? And be able to do that. I mean, this is now me just being very visionary about it. I believe that this is how it's going to work. I haven't done it yet. We had just made a connector, but the way how we build the software is that every button that I press is available to Cloud Code. Every little button here is available as an endpoint for Cloud Code. There is nothing that you can press and do with system that Cloud Code can't. So we are fully agentic ready. That's where we want to be. Okay, all of this is happening on your computer. All of the matching is happening on your computer. Everything is always real time, 4K, brand new playback engine, brand new, we're going to SDI output as well. And now comes the thing, great, Dado, but what do I do with this? I graded it now. What am I going to look at the pictures? I need to do something with it. All right, so here is the things that you can do right now. Right now, you can click here on export, and you can render clips as PROS files, super fast GPU rendering. But I know that many of you don't want to do this. So we'll have, again, push to resolve, but it's going to be different. Push to resolve is you're going to be asked, what is your color grading space? This is probably the 3rd most requested feature. Can we work in other color space than Arilog C? Yes, now you can. You'll be able to say, oh, I'm working in ACE, I'm working in DaVinci White Gamut, I'm working in JPLook 2. Whatever you chose is your weapon of choice. And what it's going to do, it's going to create your IDT node, your first node, that's going to have IDT this much and output to your grading space. So we'll collapse all of this into a single node. And that single node is then going to be your starting point. Then you go and you do grading windows, blah, 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 everything afterward. But you kind of start with balanced timeline. That's the idea. I mean, of course, your grade's not done. What COLOURLAB AI does for it just does a little bit matching for you, right? A little bit. I mean, a little bit more. But, you don't want to just stop here. You want to now do your magic. You want to then do your thing, and everything's then available to you in a scene referred space with full dynamic range, with everything available to you there. We are going to also, fingers crossed, implement it so that we are supporting at the moment a format which is called OTIO, Open Timeline IO, which allows us to embed our color matching metadata inside the ColorLab's timeline. So we will have a plugin, version 4, that will able to read this metadata. So you will have these adjustment sliders available to you as well in case you feel like, well, I don't want to work with a lot. I want to have ability to tweak my matching a little bit further, or maybe even rematch, right? It's also going to be available there. For Adobe Premiere users, we'll have a panel with controls. So, right, number one technical issue we have with our users is their problem or inability to do send and fetch and push, especially Premiere users. It's complicated. You have to have a plugin, you have to have extension, and you have to fetch, you have to push, blah, blah, and all this. No more. This is all going away. You'll be working inside Premiere with panel and everything. All this UI is going to look pretty similar like that. You'll be able to select your reference. You'll be able to do a whole timeline, the whole timeline like I'm doing now, also inside the Premiere. We're also adding our Neura 35 engine. This is a new name for engine that I called last week Super 35, and I was told this is such a stupid name. I need to change this, so we changed it. So it's called now Neura 35. So you'll have a full film emulation there as well. And you'll also have a fine tuning, your live gamma gains, controls, everything that, it's coming. It's just not in this build at the moment, but this is kind of the idea to all of these things, that we want to put in before we go into the private beta. So I think this covered the majority of things I had to show you. I hope you're excited as I am about this. I really feel that the future of grading is agentic, and the more we can get AI agents to do work for us, the better it is. But I actually want to hear your thoughts, your questions. Louis, I was too busy showing, so I haven't seen much. I would love you to help me a little bit with the questions, and so that I can hopefully answer what's
Okay, so I've been answering some questions. People are wondering about why OTIO and what is it so particular about it?
So OTIO is a single format that is supported natively by DaVinci Resolve. It's supported by Premiere natively and has a XML imports for Final Cut or Premiere or and Avid is supporting it as well. All right. And why it's really good for us, it's because it allows us to define a metadata field that we can use to write color matching metadata. So we can say, hey, this color match was using this. And we can then embed it inside OTIO. So that means that, now we have a format, and this format is then basically compatible with Avid, with DaVinci, with Premiere, with Final Cut, without us having to do all the legwork, of course. And it's more flexible than any other format because we can embed our own metadata, which is really what we want to do. We want to you to be able to do color matching, export ungraded sequence, and just be able to open graded material in your own editing system.
Okay, could you talk about integration with DaVinci Resolve if we're going to have still a plugin, no effects, and if you could put your node anywhere in your node tree?
You're gonna have, I mean, okay, you could put it anywhere you want, yeah, but you have to just understand that this node is the first integration is gonna be this one node matcher, and that this node is just gonna be doing camera conversion to color grading space conversion, color match. So basically you'll have what you normally had to have a 3 nodes, right? You'll have it in a single node. You would be able to put it where you want, but it's always going to have to be on a clip node tree. DaVinci doesn't allow us yet to put it into pre-group or post-group or whatever else, so it's going to have to sit there. And yes, you can then put it wherever you want. The same mechanism, if you remember, where you load your node tree and you decide which node in that node tree is going to be responsible for your match, that's still going to be there. A plugin will come, but not immediately. At first, we want to get this kind of push with LUTs working, because it's low-hanging tree. The plugin is not a problem itself. The problem is getting data into the plugin, right? Because the plugin in DaVinci is isolated on the clip. It doesn't know what comes before, after, and can't really read any metadata. So yeah, that's a kind of technological challenge, and so we think we might be able to solve it, and we think we do, but I think let's kind of get you guys to start working, and then we'll add plugin to it.
Is there plans or when it will be releasing the Windows PC version and Linux, maybe?
Yeah, no Linux. There will be only Windows, and so this is a timing. So we want to go private beta, public beta, and then we want to do a proper release for around September. So that's probably when Windows is going to be ready as well. What the whole idea is, let's finalize the software. Let's get all the functionality done, right? And then let's just convert that into Windows. That's the whole idea.
Will it have show look development module like version 3.5?
No. your current engine is your show look development. I mean, no, guys, I mean, you don't know like how powerful this matching is. I mean, you haven't tried it yet. So I mean, it's you can take any image with any film emulation, it's gonna be able to emulate that film emulation and look in it. You understand? This is how precise it is. This is how precise it is. Now we'll have a full emulation in it, and you'll be able to load your custom LUTs and custom profiles and add grain and add halation and everything's gonna live inside. So you're gonna have that. So I don't think, like, look, go and develop your own show LUT. If you love it, load it as your film emulation profile, and that's it. We'll happily support that. But I think at least I am just really surprised how much I can achieve just through a good reference.
Okay, so what about tokens and the integration with Claude?
Okay, so our plan before NAB was that we will be giving you token pool and that you will be then buying token of us. And overwhelmingly, like everybody said, I want to use my own tokens or I want to use my own subscription. And we'll happily do that because it's, not really what we want to be in business of doing. So instead of, us selling you tokens, you will be using your own subscription or your own API. What we will do is we will build a connector that is just open. You'll go into Claude, say add connector, and that will connect your own so you will be prompting in your own Claude desktop application. However, there are some things in this version of ColorLab AI that we can't do on device. And I'm talking about PIA, the Perceptual Image Analysis engine. When you first import your references, we do require a very, very sophisticated vision encoder. And this vision encoder, you can't run on your own computer. So there will be a token pool that you will get with monthly subscription for this analysis. It's not really expensive, guys. It's not crazy, but we will monitor the amount of tokens you will be using for that. So it won't be unlimited. And because it costs us effectively, as well. But we will make it so that, it gives you enough for 1 month, that you kind of, if you go crazy with creating new references, you're still, have plenty tokens. You never have to buy new ones. But if you do, you can go and buy some more. So yeah. And then if you get like an annual subscription, then you basically have a much bigger pool. And then when you run out of it, you just go and buy some, So yeah, but don't think about it as a kind of, thousands and thousands of tokens, even though I quite like, this millions of tokens. I want to make you token millionaires. It's our choice how we're gonna count the tokens, we can count it in ones, in hundreds, in thousands, or in millions. I quite like millions of tokens, sounds a lot. So anyway, we'll see. That hasn't been fully decided yet.
Will the perpetual license still work with the new version?
100%. Now, this is a free upgrade for all version 3 users. If you perpetual, you get it. You'll get a massive pool of tokens as well. And, everything stays the same. But there will be a transition period. So just so you know, number 2 technical hurdle that we're getting from our users is our licensing system. Oh my God. If I hear one more time, where's my serial number, I'm gonna like jump through the window. Like I think I'm just gonna I don't know. Please, so we got no more serial numbers, no more. Like, please, I want this to stop. I have like one client I really love, and I don't know how many times he's emailed me, says, my serial is not working or something like that. I was like, no more serials. They're gone. You're just gonna log in with your Google account, and once you log in, we'll know what you have, I mean, no more. So that means that you will have to transition. So you will go to our new version 4 website, and you will enter there your new credentials, and then we will translate your version 3 license into version 4 license. You'll have both. You'll have 3 and 4, right? But that's how we will issue you a completely new version 4 license based on your 3. Okay? So that's the transition. So get ready for that one. That's going to be fun part, I would imagine.
David's got a question.
Oh, hi. Sorry, you caught me off guard. Yeah, I uploaded an image in there, and I was wondering if you could take a look at it and just give a brief description of how you would approach it with ColorLab 4, AI 4, assuming that the image was originally logged, and then what you see that I uploaded is the final result. How would you approach that?
You just load it as a final result. You'd say, oh, this is my color spaces, Rec 709, and that becomes your reference.
No. You don't have. What I'm saying is, how would you grade it to look like it is as now in ColorLab, assuming that you start it with a log image?
Yeah, you just use the reference. Like here, look, David, look, I have here an image, yeah?
Yep.
This is my, let me just, reset this one, okay? So I have a log image, yeah? Is this log, David?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, and I want it to look like this. I don't know, like this guy here, right? Yeah, and I just press A.
Yep. The image that I uploaded seems a little bit more complicated than some of these images. Some of these images almost seem monochromatic. They have and they have a distinct look. I get it. But the image I uploaded has reds, greens, blues that you don't want to lose,
Well, David,
If I'm not sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Your source material has got red, greens, and blues in it. They will be translated. But if there are none, they won't be injected into it. Do you understand? So look, for example, I use here a reference. Okay, look, there is some warms and greens. So you see what it did? So it applied warm to faces and used greens in the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
You get me? So it's not monochromatic. I mean, these images are.
Well, I don't mean I couldn't think of a better word. Sorry about that.
All right. I mean, so you can totally. So let's say this image, right? This image got the reds and the other ones. So I'm going to try to match it, but the AI is going to say, sorry, buddy, only red I have is her lips. So I'll give you that red in the lips, but otherwise I'm not like that. If there's no red, there's no red, David.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So then what you do is then you open your, roto tools, whatever, and then you kind of finesse any of these colors that you want. But the system is not really like, trained to do that yet.
I got you.
Okay, next.
Thanks.
Okay, so is there a timeline for Look Designer 4?
Yeah, Look Designer 4 is also around June time. So Look Designer 4 will be like we'll have the same film emulation engine, like ColorLab, and it's going to have film profiles that are now open, so you can build your own film profiles as well, and it's shareable as well. So I can make a film profile and just share with you. You copy it on your drive and you use it inside the Look Designer. So that's all scheduled also like for around June time. So once this one is in public beta, then we're starting with Look Designer 4.
Okay, I guess these are all our questions now.
Oh my God, amazing. Well, thank you very much, guys. How are you feeling about this? Tell me. I want to see now the chat. Great work. Excellent. Ooh. That's the spirit. That's the spirit, and so you should feel about it. I also had reactions where colorists were like, not even afraid to come close to our booth. They were like watching it from the distance. They were like going like, oh my God. Right? Don't be like that. Don't be like that. AI is here to stay and help you work better. So yeah, so anyway, go ahead, go sign up for.colorlab.ai. That's the place. We're going to review all the applications. It's not guaranteed that you're in, but we'll go and review, do our best. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeding this out to you guys and getting you to do some most amazing work with this. You'll see, it's just absolutely amazing. And yeah, thank you, Luis, for helping out. Luis was with me in Las Vegas as well. You can probably tell a little bit, right?
A little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Here always to hear your thoughts, your feedback, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon, exactly 1 hour. So on that, have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you soon. See you next week, hopefully as well. Thank you and bye-bye. Thanks a lot.